Hola, ¿qué tal, amigos de Vericu? Soy Javier y el día de hoy tenemos un invitado sumamente especial. Ah, Tenemos a Dusty Squire de la banda Night Demon, baterista y, bueno, miembro fundador de la banda. Y estamos sumamente emocionados por la entrevista que tendremos con él. Hi, Dustin. Welcome to Vericu. We're a site located in Guadalajara, Mexico, and, well, super excited to talk to you, man.
Hell yeah, Guadalajara. Good time spent there for sure in the past.
Yeah, I know. It's been a while, but we talk about that later. Either how, man, how are you, man? And how's the band health wise right now?
Everything's good. We're all in different parts of the country and world. Jarvis is in Ireland. He's been spending quite a bit of time over there. Armand is in Ventura, in California, where we're based out of. And I'm in Pennsylvania, moved back to my hometown and have been just spending time with family and, catching up on times that I didn't get to in the past because of constantly being on tour. So, with the pandemic and everything, it kind of put us in different places, but, it was good for us. It was a nice reset too, because we were together so much and on the road constantly. So kind of was like a nice breath of fresh air for all of us to kind of do our own thing. But we've gotten together a few times last year and played a couple shows. And so, we do the podcast every week. So we're constantly doing something to be involved with each other, whether we're there physically or not. So that's been productive, but we're all ready to get back out there and do this,
Yeah, that's awesome, man. And I know you guys are known for being such road warriors, right? And I know some festivals are on the horizon for you. Some pretty close, like Hell's Heroes in Houston. I'm gonna be there, so I'm super excited. Either how, what's on the map for you guys, touring wise for Night Demon?
Well, we're supposed to be getting over to Europe after the Hell's Heroes thing. And, it's like all this stuff can be planned and everything can be ready to go, but I won't believe it until we're on that plane and we're flying over there because
for sure.
So many things have been planned and, the world's, crazy place and things are popping off every day, as you know. And, we talked about this, we can only do what we can, that we can control as a band. And there's a lot of things out of our control, but we're doing the best we can. And, we're set up to go out there and kick some ass and play some of the new songs. And, so, we're looking forward to the Hell's Heroes thing, but, there's more European tours booked and shows than there are in the States. And I don't think we have many in there's not many shows in Mexico either. There's a couple here and there that we have planned in the next year, for this year. So,
you have one booked for September, a festival. It's gonna be wild.
Is that in Monterey? Is that the Monterey one?
That's in Leon, Mexico. Okay. Yeah, you guys playing with Kiratungle and Midnight and some other great bands.
Okay. Yeah, I know I've seen the flyer for it, but I forgot where it was.
The lineup. Yeah, it's okay, man. Okay, so now let's talk about Year of the Demon. Your latest compilation. First, speaking of the pandemic, and I wanna know your opinion as a band member, because it's 5 7-inch singles released on the span of let's say 2 years. Do you think that the COVID pandemic disrupted the way bands created or promoted new music? Is that such a thing?
Maybe. I mean, yeah, I would say so. We actually had the plan to do those 7 inches before COVID and pandemic even happened. So our goal was to do these songs as singles, and put singles out. We could have done more if we really wanted to, but we wanted to kind of cut it off at 5. And it just so happened to work out that, the pandemic happened and we released a song, every 5 weeks. It was like, one single every 5 weeks. And then, kind of went and put out some of the B-sides now, but we wanted to have physical copies for our fans to have, and something, kind of making it, more of an event for us just to kind of promote some new music, rather than just putting out a full length. So it just kind of went hand in hand with the pandemic and putting new stuff out and kind of like spacing out like singles. I think it kind of saved our ass in the long run, because, we didn't put out a brand new full length that kind of everybody listened to a few times, and then you couldn't go out and tour on it. So you're not. So then that record kind of becomes old and it kind of gets pushed to the back, and it's it doesn't really seem like a new record.
Exactly.
So I think in this case, we put these singles out, but they didn't feel like a record, and now we decided, instead of doing an EP and then re-releasing these 5 songs or 4 originals later again, let's just put these all together in one compilation, because not everybody got the physical 7 inches and didn't hear those beats. And so now it's the first time that everybody can hear these all together,
Man,
which
that's great.
we're looking forward to.
Yeah, and I know that the production companies are stopped, well, they have a huge queue of I don't know, vinyl production or CDs, because they have a lot of because of all the uncertainties of the pandemic brought to us, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. So luckily Century Media is cool with us and go along with our crazy ideas. And they thought the 7-inch idea was a little they thought it was a bad idea at first, or they didn't really know what they thought about it, if it was going to work or not. And turned out that it worked out really well, with the timing of everything.
The songs are super amazing. I mean, being a fan myself, but I wanna the latest thing you released was the Thin Lizzy cover. In being a Thin Lizzy fan myself, how did these guys choose that one song that is kind of bluesy and kind of soul, but you managed to do it on your own style? I don't know. Tell me more about the process of how you own that particular track.
Yeah, that was kind of an idea that floated around pretty early on. Jarvis one day was like, Sun Goes Down is such a cool, vibey song. And he's like, I have this kind of vision of just rocking it out. And, when he brought that up to me, looking at it in that moment, I thought the same thing. I'm like, how on earth are we going to rock this thing out?
Yeah.
But, it's we kind of stayed true to who we are as a band, and also paid tribute to them. But you get that vibe with the song to start, and then we just take it to another place, and that's us. I call it demonizing a song. Anytime we do a cover, we do it the way that we would write a song, in the sense of what would we do, and how can we just get to the point, just and get through the song. So I think that's a pretty good representation of what we do as a band, is that song and the rest of Year of the Demon. Because if you think of the songs on that album, they're all standalone songs. Exactly. That was why it was hard for us to kind of put these onto an actual record, because it didn't really make sense to us as a record. We were growing as a band, and we were playing certain songs certain ways, and you could tell that our musicianship was going to another level as well, compared to Curse of the Damned and the early stuff.
Of course. Now, speaking of which, tell me more about the process of how do you write a song? How do you feel it? Is it something that it's I don't know, laid out in a particular plan, or something you just let it flow?
A lot of times it starts with a riff, and then we build it from there. We're pretty good at vibing off of each other. We work the best in the room together, especially because we're so spread out. I actually went to California over, it was about 8 weeks this past year, working on the new record, getting the drum tracks done, writing these songs from the ground up. And it felt good because we haven't been up each other's ass every day. Now, we came in with a fresh kind of outlook, and it was a good vibe in the room, and, nobody's stepping on anybody's toes. We push each other, but at the same time, understand where each other's coming from in the writing process, and trusting that person with an idea, rather than getting offended that my idea isn't sticking, because we don't break the songs up. We're a team, and we evenly break these songs up as far as royalties and all that kind of stuff. Writers credits, and because it is a group effort, and not one person is writing a whole song and say, hey, Dustin, throw some drums on this, and that's the way the song is, because we go through so many revisions when we write a song. That was another reason for Year of the Demon and those singles. It was taking us so long just to write one song. We were working on one Kill the Pain. We worked on for 18 months before it was actually recorded.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it went through so many changes.
That's the one you recorded in Denmark, right? With the legend Fleming Rasmussen, right?
Yep, exactly.
How did that came to happen?
We were getting ready to start the Sacred Reich Winter Tour of 2019, and the tour started in Copenhagen.
Oh,
And from our Heavy Hamburg Halloween show that we throw in Germany, we throw that on Halloween. And so we had a week off in between from Halloween until we started in Copenhagen to the Sacred Reich tour.
yeah.
Jarvis contacted Fleming's manager, or his close friend, or and he was like, "Hey, Fleming's available that week." So we
Wow.
booked a session with him and went in and did "Kill the Pain" in 100 miles per hour.
Oh, that's great.
So yeah, I mean that was, and I think the thing is, what was cool about picking that song and the amount of time it took us to write that song, and for me personally, that was a nightmare of a song to figure out from the inception of the riffs to playing the chorus the way that I do, with like the kind of like a blast beat shuffle thing. The chorus was different all the way from all the other demos. There was like 4 different versions and 4 different choruses, and finally came up with the idea for that. So to go in and record with Fleming, having the song go through so many changes and get to that point to record with him, it was the song to do it, because of the respect we have for Fleming, and just being in there with him, what that brought out in us, the magic of being in that room with him,
Sure. Speaking of which, I saw some videos of you guys playing in that Denmark studio, and you guys were all 3 together, right? So if people know, drummers are usually the first one to record. Did you guys record it live, or did you
No, we record scratch tracks. I mean, Jarvis will put like some, sometimes he'll do like a live bass track, and if he has to overdub something, he'll go in and fix it.
Nice.
But we like to capture the energy with the 3 of us in the room. So regardless if those guys are playing live or if they're scratch tracking and then going to play over it later, we're capturing the feel and the vibe of the 3 of us in the room, because that's the energy of Night Demon. It's the 3 of us just kind of really vibing out and making sure that when we're putting it to record, that it's as close as what it's going to sound like live. And that, I think, is like the hardest thing for us, is to recreate what we do live in the studio. It's a really hard thing to do, because when we're playing live, the energy is a lot stronger, and it's a different animal.
Which is something that I guess Fleming knows how to capture, right?
Yeah, but he was so chill, and like he knew that we knew what we were doing. So, he would only put his input in here and there, but he was just, I think, just the vibe of him just being chill and not being like a big shot, really helped the whole thing.
Well, I gotta say, you mentioned 100 miles per hour, and for us Night Demon fans, we know about the close relationship you guys with Kier Tungle. So how did that song happen, and why did you choose that particular cover, and how was working with Tim? I mean, the legend.
Yeah, I mean, that was a song that we thought if we were ever going to cover a Sir Thungle song, it was like, this is the closest song that they ever wrote that's kind of like the Night Demon vibe, that upbeat kind of snare, and like I call it the pre-thrash vibe, kind of like the Motorheady kind of thing, where you're not really completely thrashing, but you're pretty much there. That song embodies that. And we did it our way, but we kept it as close to the original as possible.
Sure.
And we respect them, and we work for them. Like Jarvis is in the band, but Armand and I both tech for them. So we're there with them all the time. We have a close relationship outside of our band and their band. And so Tim was really willing to just go in there and do it with us, and it was almost a song that he kind of like even forgot about it. He said it's not not really a song that's not his favorite.
Not on the epic albums, let's call it that, or the landmark ones. And did he actually recorded in Copenhagen with you guys?
No, he did his vocals at our studio in Ventura.
Okay.
Yeah, they did the vocals for him there.
Yeah. Okay. Kind of figure that. Okay. Besides all of this that we have discussed so far, what is your favorite thing about this Year of the Demon compilation?
I love the artwork. I think the artwork's great. I think the front cover kicks ass. Like we actually just did a podcast the other day with all three of us, and we were talking about that. And, I even said, it's like, yeah, we're re-releasing these songs in some sense, in some form, but just the artwork alone, I would want, if I was a fan of the band,
Yeah,
I would
sure.
want it, just because it is something different. And the songs do have they've been all mastered together this time instead of all being separate. So it does
Yeah.
have a different sound a little bit. So there are some nuances and some things, the true fans, I think, are going to hear it and go, that's off Year of the Demon. And that's the single version because the
Yeah.
mix is different or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah,
So
that's awesome. Who did the artwork?
I forget his name offhand, Jarvis, and I feel
Don't
terrible
worry,
because
we'll
Jarvis.
look it up and post it there. But yeah,
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 yeah.
it's such a
Jarvis
cool,
does all the artwork
such a
stuff with the
cool,
artists.
such a cool artwork. And I have to speak again as a fanboy or whatever. But you mentioned the previous to the Secret Right tour and all that, the tour or the show you did in Hamburg. I mean, loving the Scorps all my life. How was working with Uli, and what vibe did you get as a drummer when you're like sitting on an audience like that, playing with that legend? I mean, tell me more
Yeah,
about that experience.
it was a goosebump moment for sure. I definitely got chills. Like, it was really cool the way that he came out onto the stage because he kind of like glided on. It was like the ghost of Uli.
Yeah,
He just like came out, and just the electricity from the crowd, and being in Hamburg, and it's so close to us, and we spend so
yeah,
much time there. And Uli trusted us enough for him to go out there. I don't think he would just go out there with any band if he didn't think
exactly.
that they could keep up with him. And it was really cool because as a drummer, you're just kind of in the back watching it all unfold.
Yeah,
Watching the energy of him and how he was working with Armand and Jarvis. And then every now and then he'd kind of like look back at me and kind of like either, it was a content look. It wasn't like him. He knew that I was right where he wanted to
yeah,
be,
of course, because
without pushing it.
yeah, because I know you guys recorded Top of Bill with him, and but we only seen the in trance live video, and for sure I noticed your face like pretty much any band member, but you was also like the bystander of this like legendary moment, right? I guess it's
Yeah.
pretty mind
Yeah.
blowing.
Yeah, it was. And I know that, for like the first three songs, I found out later that Uli like watched our set pretty close,
Okay,
kind of to catch our vibe again, because we didn't rehearse with him or anything. We rehearsed it the way that he plays it with his band,
of course, yeah,
and so we made sure that we were ready so that he knew the structure and he came in and could do, it has extra guitar stuff. It's different than the Tokyo Tapes version.
of course,
So, he has extended solos and little guitar moments. So that was cool. And like, Armand and him were working on the guitar parts backstage before we started that night. And that was cool. And I was fixing a snare because I didn't bring a snare drum. So I had to like put a new
okay,
head on the snare, and I'm like trying to make sure the snare works for the whole show. So I was like
yeah.
stressing out over
It
drums.
doesn't sound like
Armand's in
Saint
there.
Anger or something. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then Armand's in there having a guitar session with Uli. It's the difference in the mood and
Oh,
the
and
tone. But
well, that's
it worked out really well, and it was a really great milestone for us, for sure.
yeah, for sure. And now, like turning the camera again to you guys, I feel like you guys are like pretty down to earth, like close to the fans, a band of the people, like touring band and all that. What's your philosophy like, or is this something that you plan as we have to be this band, or this we have to take this particular role in the scene, or something like that?
I think originally, we were the new guys in the scene, kind of like in 2014 or 2000, late 2013, early 2014. You could really see this traditional scene start to take shape.
Yeah,
It was really like, wow, something's here. Like when I first joined Night Demon, I saw that there was fans that loved this style of music, and they dressed like it was 19,
yeah,
83
'87.
or,
Yeah,
yeah, totally. And I was like, holy shit, there's something here for sure. I think originally we just wanted to get to know everybody. We wanted to be a part of the scene. We wanted to be a band that, was in there in the shit doing this. And we wanted to know all the bands and everybody in the bands. And over time, based on just, I think, how we are as individuals and we love the camaraderie of it. We
Sure.
love the fans and the bands, and deciding to throw our own festival every year, and really just cater to the scene and do the best that we can for it and bring the bands together. It's never like, our band is better than yours,
Yeah,
or of course it's friendly competition, because every
of
time we're on
course.
stage, we want to be the best that we can be.
Yeah,
Um, and I think it brings it out in the other bands too. They're excited that we're out there doing it. And um, I don't know. I think it was just an approach that we had to just be cool, just be
amazing.
cool. And there's no need to be dicks, and
Yeah,
if
of
people
course,
are dicks, they don't really last long,
of course.
you know?
Yeah.
So
Now speaking of which, and I want to brought up something you mentioned earlier. How did the project of the podcast came into being? I mean, I feel like it's a way to get closer to your fans, but tell me more about it.
that, Jarvis was listening, everybody listens to podcasts, right? But Jarvis was listening to a Talking Maiden podcast, and Chris Nesbitt, the host of our podcast, he was doing the Talking Maiden podcast for a number of years with another co-host.
Yeah,
And they just decided that they had over talked Maiden, or talked Maiden. They
yeah,
felt like they hit a point where they, kind of exhausted the idea.
sure.
So Chris, we had already kind of had this idea of doing a podcast, but we didn't want it to be the three of us drinking beers and like
Yeah,
talking
sure.
nonsense.
Yeah, like
So it was kind of like a weird time for Chris and his transition. And, we ended up getting things in place so that on the last Talking Maiden episode, we went right into the first Night Demon episode. So it like rolled right over. So whatever listeners he had, we got quite a few from there, and people had never heard of our band or had any idea. And it was a nice way to kind of get the podcast thing rolling. We were with somebody who had been running a podcast for a number of years. He knew how to edit. He knows how to
sure.
do it right. Jarvis had the vision of like, hey, this has got to be done the right way, and like we have to make it enticing for people to listen to and give this bonus content and be really, up front with because people subscribe to our
Sure.
subscribers, and it's our job to give them their money's worth. And it's a lot of work, but what else are we kind of doing right now? It's
Exactly.
like, obviously
because-
things are opening up, but it's a good way to keep the machine kind of rolling,
Exactly. Yeah, because I think it's a very disciplined thing. I mean, it's a weekly show. It's not like every 2 months or something like that, like other podcasts. I think it's awesome that you guys do it. Now, speaking of Dustin, I mean, besides being the pace keeper or the rhythm of Nine Demon, what do you think your role is in the band, or what do you bring to the table that nobody else does?
Yeah, I mean, I drive a lot. I'm the driver usually in the States. I've driven cross country, I don't know how many times. I can drive long distances. That's
Awesome.
always a big thing, and just keeping it going no matter what, kind of being the person that digs in the dirt and doesn't mind getting my hands dirty. We built a headquarters in Ventura. We got 2,500 square feet of warehouse space.
Wow.
And built a wall down the middle, and we built a rehearsal room for Sarathongal, built a rehearsal room for ourselves. And I had a big hand in a lot of that building and learning as I went, and we all worked on it together. But the band knew that no matter what, I would be in there cranking something out, whether I'm building walls or I'm, putting the flooring down, or, whatever it takes. That's the kind of thing that you get with me. Is I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. I'm not afraid to sweat. I'm not afraid to get bloody.
Yeah.
Whatever it takes, we'll get it done.
That's great, man.
And I think, Jarvis and Armand both know that, whether we all play to our strengths,
Sure.
and we never point the finger at somebody for doing too little or not enough. It's, just do what you can for the greater good of this band. And I mean, it's a demanding gig, as far as physical, aspects of it.
Yeah.
And we put a lot of time into this, and coming out of the pandemic and getting into this next phase of whatever music's going to be and all of
Yeah.
this, we put a lot of work in, and we're still pretty established coming out of this. And you know, when things do open up, whenever that happens,
Yeah,
you know,
of
we're in a
course.
good place to do that with all the hard work that we all did together, you know?
Of course. Yeah. And speaking of things going back to normal and things, what are you guys excited about the most? Of what do you like the most about touring in Latin America or in Mexico, for that matter?
It's always a party. It's always a party. I'll tell you what, everybody's always in a good mood. Um, Great camaraderie with the people that come out to shows. Like every now and then something happens, but that happens everywhere.
Yeah.
But I just know that it was always like a feel good time, and like, you know, shit happens, and like you know, not everybody's the same, everybody's different. And you know, we just see people as they are,
Of
and
course.
you know, when they come out to our shows, like it's a release for them, you know,
Yeah.
and they want to come out and have a good time. So uh definitely the vibe of the people and the good times. And you know, everybody wants to share their beers, and you know, it's like
Yeah.
have a sip, you know, and it's just like
Totally. Totally.
there's a different kind of vibe. And you know, being from a small town like I am, and you know, since I've been gone for so long and I just moved home, you know, I kind of see what I got away from, but there's a certain charm to that. You know, a lot of
Yeah.
people don't really go anywhere, they kind of stay put. But because I've traveled so much, like I just appreciate people wherever they are, and
Sure.
people, you know, making us welcome into their homes. And you know, it doesn't matter who you are. You know, I
Exactly.
love that personal connection with people, and you know, our fans, and people just finding out about our band, and people putting us up at their houses, stuff like that, you know.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Either just we're on the final stages of this interview. Do you have a favorite or least favorite drummer joke or meme? Because I know there are a lot.
Um, yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to think the last time I heard one, because they're just so bad. I just block them
Yeah,
out, you know?
exactly.
I'm just like, oh, or like, how do you know? Oh, yeah, the classic one. Uh, how do you spot a drummer? Well, he's just the guy hanging out with the rest of the band. Or, you know, who's the drummer's the only non-musician. You know, they always say a drummer's not a musician.
Yeah,
You
yeah, yeah,
know, that's always a good one. Jarvis will throw that one at me every now
yeah.
and then, you
Pretty
know.
standard, I guess.
Or Rob from Surathonga will say, you know, how you can tell a drummer's knocking because it gets faster as he knocks.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, man. Well,
Uh,
last but not least, anything, any word do you have for your Mexican fans or your Latin American fans watching us right now?
you better be ready, because we're ready to fucking blow your faces off.
Of
You
course,
know,
yeah.
it's I think that when the fans do see us again and we do get to these places, whether you that was my cat.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I think you just you'll get a different Night Demon. You'll definitely see that we've grown as players, and we've grown closer as a band. And um, I think everybody's going to be so excited just to go out to shows again,
Sure.
and it's going to be a good time. And there's no way that we're not going to go out there and play the best that we possibly can.
That is amazing, man, and we sure can notice what you guys have grown and to these days, and we'll thank you for that. And either how well, I see you in Hell's Heroes in Houston in about a month or so, and I'll see you in Candelabrum in September here in Mexico. And well, thank you so much for your time. This was an amazing interview and a great time. And well, we'll see you around, man.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We're really looking forward to it. So I'll definitely have a beer with you when we're in Houston.
Yeah, for sure. I'll look you to
All
give
right,
you.
man. Sounds good.
All right. I'm gonna.
All right, brother.
All
Thank
right.
you. Cheers.
Cheers, man.